So, Mr. Mlaudzi, I think you may record if you will.
Yes, I already did. Yeah, thank you so much, Takuzo.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you very much for joining today's class. So, the purpose of today's session, it's going to be short, but as the title has it, we are going to go over the chapter 1 or the proposal chapter as we are going to classify it. So what we need to understand right now is we are diving into an absolute cornerstone of any successful research project, which is the chapter 1. I think we should think of this chapter as our research proposal's foundation. What this means is that if it's weak, the whole structure or the whole thesis or the whole report that you will submit at the end of the period will certainly crumble. But if it's strong, then it means that you are going to be successful. We'll explore how to build on a robust chapter 1, ensuring that your research journey starts and begins strong. This session is important for laying the groundwork for your entire dissertation or the thesis. All right. With any chapter, please note that you have to begin with an introduction. You also have to end it with you begin with an introduction and then you end it with a conclusion, right? So what actually involves chapter 1? That's the main question. It's more than just an introduction. It is your research blueprint, right? This chapter sets a stage that provides important context, and it justifies why your research is not just interesting, but necessary and timely, especially within your local context. It could be, by context, I mean it depends on the research topic that you are researching on, but it contextualizes that landscape. Now, it's also important to note that a very good chapter 1 or well-crafted chapter 1 ensures that everything aligns: your problem, your objectives, and your methodology. It's about guiding the reader logically from a broad topic to a very specific niche or research problem. Now, let's break down the key components of this vital chapter. Before you begin your research, we obviously need to know what your research topic is. And perhaps when you submit your research topics, we will also engage those particular topics to see whether they are researchable or they are relevant or not, or how we can basically improve it so that we can narrow it down to that particular research problem. Building on that idea that we have just previously mentioned, that is the idea of a logical flow in section 1.1, which is the introduction. This is where you first introduce your studies topic or title. Here you're explaining the what, where, and why questions of your research. You need to show why your topic matters. Furthermore, why it is relevant at this very time and moment, or at this juncture. This section should naturally lead your reader to the problem statement. Now, as experts suggest, it is about highlighting a compelling, interesting, and current development in your field. And once we have crafted the introduction, we'll tackle the heart of your research, which is called the problem statement. Now, when you are writing your proposal, you need to cover each and every topic. That is the introduction, problem statement, so that your proposal or chapter 1 will be whole. Coming to the statement, the problem statement, you can write it anyhow, problem statement, statement of the problem. This important and critical section, which is the statement of a problem, is where you clearly articulate the specific issue your study aims to address. In this problem statement, you are identifying a gap in knowledge, practice, or policy. That is one of the key things that you have to do, is to identify the gap. The gap is where your research will stem from. And just a key advice, if you read journal articles, or even books, if you read at the end of the section, conclusion and recommendations, those recommendations are for future or further study, can be a nice and a cheat sheet or trick for you to identify a possible gap in your field, because it shows that there is a gap in that particular research. I would like to put it as a really game, you know. That's how I identify this research path is. So if someone runs until a certain lap, they have to hand over the baton to the next person that will also maybe run their own distance and also pass it to the next person. But ultimately, since it's a relay, you pick up from where you receive the baton. You don't have to start from the from the beginning or from the get-go. Now, what that means is we are building on each other's knowledge. I hope there's clarity to that analogy. Right. Now, crucially, this problem must be researchable and directly linked to your study's location. Now, this makes it more relevant to your context. If you are, let's say, in South Africa, perhaps that should also have an influence on your frame of reference, just to make sense from your own context, I believe. Now, a strong problem statement convinces your reader that the issue is significant enough to warrant a formal investigation or research. Once you have identified the problem, you need to now define how you aim to achieve, or what you aim to achieve with investigating or researching that problem. Right. It now brings us to the next subsection, the aim or the purpose of the study. Now, the purpose of the study's aim, I think we can classify it as one broad statement that encapsulates what your entire study intends to achieve. It provides the overarching direction of your dissertation or report or your thesis. Now, remember, this aim must directly respond to the problem statement that we have just discussed. You typically start from the phrase, the aim of this study is to, yes. So that's a keyword that you can use. Well, the purpose of this study is to X, X or Y. Now, with our aim or purpose established, it has now to be broken down in more specific and I think actionable steps in a more palatable way, basically. As we break it down, we can go down to research objectives. Now, these are the actionable steps that I've just mentioned. Research objectives are those specific, measurable steps that guide your entire study. They tell us exactly what you're going to do. Typically, we expect about between 4 and 5 clear and direct objectives, each stating with a strong action verb, such as those at the bottom of the screen, that is maybe determine, to examine. Now, remember that these objectives must be SMART. By SMART, we mean specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This ensures your research is focused and feasible. Now, how do we translate these objectives into questions we can answer? Brings us to the next section, which are the research questions. You need these components in your proposal. As we have said, it lays the foundation to your entire thesis or the entire house or whatever that you'll be building. Right. Building on our objectives, research questions, naturally, they are interrogative. The form of questions, they must have question marks. They are especially crucial for qualitative and mixed method studies. It's vital that every research question you pose directly correspond to an objective. Remember, we have previously stated or written down our objectives. Now, the research question has to be linked, or it has to stem from those objectives, so that these linkages will ensure that we have an answer at the end of the day, ensuring that we meet our aims and objectives. This maintains a strong internal consistency throughout your proposal. You choose between research questions or hypothesis based on your research design. We will obviously discuss those aspects, the research designs, in the future sessions. So, after we have those questions, we have to ask yourself, why does your research matter? Are you just doing it to get a mark so that you can complete your qualification? Or are we actually doing it so that we can contribute to the body of knowledge, to have an impact, to have a contribution to something in somewhere in your field? Brings us to this another subsection, which is the significance of the study. This particular section is where you articulate the so what factor of your research. The importance of the study explains who will benefit from your findings. More so, how will they benefit? For example, you can think of policymakers, practitioners in your field, other researchers in the field or academics, or even communities and institutions where you are located, and perhaps not even only where you are located, but also in other jurisdictions. People are doing comparative studies. So let's say someone from Malawi or Zimbabwe or the UK can look at your research that is very similar to what they are also researching and perhaps do a comparative study. In that case, it provides a linkage and also will end in a case of, I believe, mutual benefit, since some of this work can end up published. Right. It's also important to highlight the originality and the importance of your work. How will your research make a practical theoretical difference in your field? Right. Knowing that knowledge itself is open-ended, I believe that at the stage and phase where we are in terms of civilization, anything and everything can be limitless. That's when we need a scope or delimitation of the study. There are many factors that influences your research. If you still remember on the topic, I said we need to narrow it down so that we address specific problems. If you there's this saying, I'm not sure about how it goes. If you search, if you run after 2 rabbits, you might get none, but it's easier if you run after one. So if we're not pursuing 5 problems in one research, chances are it will be more impactful and will come to an end. Right. The purpose of the scope or delimitation of your study is that it defines its boundaries, the boundaries of your research. This means clearly stating what your research covers, just as importantly, what it does not. This includes aspects like geographical area, jurisdiction. It could be time frame of your research, could be the targeted population, and other specific variables. Delimitation are your conscious choices to narrow the focus, preventing your study from becoming too broad and unmanageable. It's about setting realistic expectations from your work. Yes. After you have set these limitations, and I think this one is also important to perhaps I think we should describe more of it. Time frame, we could speak of the journal articles or the research that we are doing, whether you narrow it down to the previous 5 years or, or 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, depending, of course, on the topic or the field of research. Targeted population, if you are speaking about, let's say, police, police or metropolitan police, would they mostly engage with perhaps issues of that nature? you know. I think it would depend also broadly on the topic of choice that you would have chosen and that we would have narrowed down so that at least some of these aspects and factors make sense. Now, as we know, we are only human, and like we said, our time is limited. Brings us to this important topic, which is the limitations of study. You are only human and you can't control everything. That's the nature of research. Picture yourself in a lab. If you do the test, whatever the outcome is, you have to write it down. That is, I think, the beauty of research, to understand that you have limitations, to understand that that your research is certainly influenced by certain limitations. After we have this, in an overall sense, after we have covered what the study covers or what your research covers, it's important to also highlight what it doesn't. As I've said, highlighting limitations is not about admitting your weaknesses as a researcher. Once you start doing research, you need to start looking at yourself as a researcher, not merely as a student. You are now a researcher, and you should wear those shoes. You should be comfortable. Right. I believe that it's about demonstrating a matured understanding of your research. You are showing awareness of the practical constraints that might influence your findings. Think about issues or aspects like time, access to a specific data, or even size of your sample. Let's say you are not in the capacity of doing a countrywide research, or you don't have the money to go to Limpopo to do field research, and you opt for desktop research. You should mention that. Or maybe you don't have money to go to Zimbabwe and you want to do comparative studies. You can mention that. Or maybe you are dealing with a sensitive topic and you can't get raw data from, let's say, SAPS, South African Police Services, because maybe they cannot release such sensitive issues or data to you for your project. It ultimately depends also on the topic that you would have chosen. Now, acknowledging this helps your reader understand the boundaries of your research and how you interpret your results. This transparency builds credibility and shows that you have thought critically about your study's context. After we have highlighted these limitations, we now move to what we can classify as a structure, or your thesis structure. From the get-go, we already know. You should already have an idea. Remember now, these things can change. This is merely a proposal. You can always come back at the end of the journey and tweak a few things if need be. This follows after your limitations. You can call it the chapter outline or the chapter overview. If you can clearly see here, some of these topics are indicative. If you want to be creative, you can be. But this section is important because it's more of a roadmap for your entire dissertation or project, guiding your reader throughout the journey. It provides a brief overview of what each chapter will cover, from your introduction to your conclusions. This structure ensures a logical flow and helps maintain the integrity of your research report. It is a critical element for any academic work, especially within the Lyceum framework. Second chapter, a literature review. Third, research methodology. Fourth, discussion, analyzing the data that you would have found. Then chapter 5, conclusions and recommendations. But like I've said, these topics, we can always be creative. For now, we need to try and formulate and build that impressive proposal, chapter 1, that will be both agreeable to you as a researcher and also to your supervisor, according to the college standards. And I'm sure Mr. Mlaudzi will send you the prep doc that gives you an idea of what is required. I think we have covered a lot on this topic, but the core message is clear. Alignment is important and it's paramount. Your problem, your aim, and objectives must be perfectly synchronized. Remember to use precise academic language and always justify why your study is necessary. And mostly importantly, consult your supervisor every step of the way. Stronger Chapter 1 is your foundation for research success. On that note, I'd like to ask if we have any questions based on this presentation or any other questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Takutswa. Mr. Peterson, do you have any question? Oh, I see your hands raised there. You can jump in.
Yes, good afternoon again. Thank you very much for this broad topic or the presentation. I did start already because I'm pressed for time, so I started already, but I see now I have a lot of gaps to attend to. One or two questions. How long is there a length of a study topic? A research topic? Is there length? How long should it be? 10 pages, 20 pages, or should it just cover everything what you can handle and see and what is it's we are looking at? I made a few notes here and the limitations of the study. Luckily, I did decide on this area alone where I'm working. It's only the Koga area in the Eastern Cape. So
Yes.
it's not broader outside the area, and I'm working every day in the area. So it will be easier for me to get from some of my research questions in this regard. If I can also add that my topic, as Mr. Malaudi know, actually is talking about the effect what private security has and the role they play in law enforcement today. So I think I can write a lot about it, but it's my personal experience which I have with these people also and how they assist also, which is important. So now my question in this regard is what type of questions can I ask to make it a researchable topic? What type of questions should I ask in this regard if you can assist in this regard? And because I've said I started already, but I didn't look at the type of questions to ask. I only look at what they add, the value they add, and what they can do to assist in the successes we had in the past. And it's really just a blessing to have people from the private security to assist the law enforcement because we don't have the capacity, we don't have the manpower, we don't have the what do you call it, the resources. And these people bring
Yes.
everything to the table except they don't have the powers and duties which law enforcement officers have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So on the first point, in terms of the length, it ultimately depends on you, really. But obviously, you can't have 2 pages, considering all this, like these 5 points that we have. But I think, Dr. Mlaudzi, you can perhaps correct me there. I think maybe 8,
Yeah,
10
yeah.
pages or something, I think.
Let me
If you,
say, for chapter 1, not more than 10 pages. Maybe, yeah, you might draft 10 pages maximum, but not less than 5.
yes, you also have to relate it to the ultimate word limit of the research. But
Yeah,
Mr. Mlaudzi will share that document with you in terms of
yeah, I will
structuring
share the document. Yes, yes.
those research questions. You did mention a few points that can be converted into questions. So perhaps it will be easier if you write whatever you write from to your supervisor. It depends ultimately because your topic as it is, I would need to know exactly what it is to be able to perhaps have a comment on those questions. But whatever points that you have mentioned right now can be converted into research questions. I'll use an example, perhaps it's not related to you. We could, if you want, you can even question you mentioned that the private sector does not have the power. Perhaps you can even frame it to the to say, let's say, what are they, okay, why don't we give them the power, or what kind of problems would arise to that issue? Let's say, for example, there's this guy, Olani Kumar. I think he's with Action SA now, but he was with, that TV show, Moja Zaktor or something. I think I would classify them as private security. And he was in court for shooting a drug suspect dead. In that case, maybe our law does not protect him in that case. And perhaps, let's say, if we give them the powers to, how do we hold them accountable if our laws uh, does not hold them accountable as the police? Can you report them to IPED, for example? Or it could be issues of that nature, or it could also be an issue of or the impact can be on policy. But I think that's how you can generally frame your questions. But when you have the the proposal at hand, or if you send it to the supervisor, I'm sure they'll be able to assist you in terms of restructuring the question. And it's very commendable that you have already begun. I hope I answered that one correctly, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I'm answered in that regard. I'm answered. Our due date is still the 13th of February.
From Laudzi,
Sorry,
the due date on the 13th of February.
no, on the 13th of February, it's will, not research. It's only will. Remember, research it's different from those other modules. Research, you have to go through all the chapters from chapter 1 until chapter 5. Meaning immediately when we allocate you with supervisors, then they will direct you all along the process. So for submitting research is not anytime soon. Surely it might be December. Are we together, Mr. Stephanus?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for that. I like to communicate with you, so I will communicate with you if there's any uncertainty.
Yes.
But thank you for the clarity, because I was
don't worry
afraid it
about the
was in
research
February.
because
Yeah.
for research,
No.
don't worry about it.
Okay.
So we are going to allocate supervisors for you, then they will direct you all along the journey. So even like those research questions that you were asking, definitely your supervisor will guide you on how to
100%.
structure those questions. But what I can say, as Tagu said, your research questions should come within the title that you are dealing with. So your research question must be within, meaning they have to link from your research title.
Understandable, sir. Thank you very much. I have that. Thank you for that, for the clarity also. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Peterson. So are you satisfied with the questions? You are good now.
Sir, thank you very much. The time, remember, it was only because of time. I didn't know that exact time we should be in. That's the reason I was a bit worried. But now, luckily, you give me the peace of mind. We can only look later in the year to end it in. But in this regard, I will communicate you or to my supervisor constantly with my progress, and ask questions. You don't worry, I'll ask questions because I like to be informed. You see. So yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it, and thank you for the presentation, Mr. Mazire. Also appreciate it. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you, sir. So,
thank you.
Mr.
Thank you
Mlaudzi
very
will
much.
also, I'm sure you upload these videos and the slides on the system, so you can always reflect back.
Yes, I will definitely send them, all of them, even those who didn't manage to attend. They will get the video. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe this is the end of our session. Thank you very much, Mr. Takuzwa, for presenting this research. And thank you for your attendance, Mr. Peterson. Till we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much. Thank you very much, colleagues. Appreciate it. And everything the best. And be safe there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.